Hey guys, SuperCoach God here, and today we are looking at pods. We're talking about the pods. What pods should we get? I don't know, but we're gonna have a look at it. We're gonna have a look and decide what pods we're gonna get. So, firstly, subscribe. Only 75% of you subscribed, so let's get into it. Also, really appreciate all the support lately. So first one on the block. Oh, I'm actually gonna talk about a ruckman first. I'm gonna talk about Tim English. So Tim English is one of the only two players apart from Bontempelli. So him and Bontempelli are the only two players that are over 700k. He did have an interrupted preseason due to migraine issues, which I only just found out today by doing some research. Last season, English scored 313 more points than any other ruckman, and his average was 13.7 points a game, better than Rowan Marshall, who was the second best ranked ruckman, and 19.1 points per game, higher than Kieran Briggs, who was third. So there's about 70k difference between him and Rowan Marshall, and 110 between Briggs. If Grundy and Gawn get off to slow starts, English could be a really good pod. But I'm not going to risk it. But yeah, only 10% owned. I think we can consider that a pod. Next, we've got Zach Merritt, who's only 9% owned. So, Zach Merritt is traditionally a pretty slow starter to the year, which is why every year he's considered one of the first upgrade targets. In 2022, Merritt dropped by more than 100k before rocketing home with 6 scores of 133 or more points in his last 8 matches. Last year, he hit a low of 564k in round 10, which is when most people got him in. His scoring has been so consistent in recent years that fading him in the hope of a hefty discount might not be worth it. So you could pick him up and hope he starts the year well. Traditionally doesn't start too well, but could be a good pod option if you decide to pick him up. Personally, I'm probably going to wait for that cheaper price, but I can see him staying around the 650 mark. So he averaged between 112 and 116 points in the past 4 years, so that's pretty impressive. Next, we're going to talk about Andrew Brayshaw. So, Andrew, considering most Supercoach players are like going towards other Freo players such as Jeremy Sharp, who's 50% owned, Hayden Young, 36% owned, Nat 5, 30% owned, and Luke Jackson at 19% owned, Brayshaw's almost become forgotten in a lot of sides. His ownership is about 2% lower than Caleb Sarong, who's probably just outside of pod territory. He's about 11% owned. And in the opening 9 rounds of last year, he only averaged 97 points per game, Brayshaw. And he only hit 100 plus 3 times. Brayshaw has only dipped below 100 once after that, and averaged 116.5 points after that. So that's pretty damn good. You would have been happy if you picked him up then. Next, we're going to talk about another pod who I've just added to my side, Cam Guthrie. So Cam Guthrie is 8% owned. He had a great preseason by all reports. He's hopefully returning to the heights of 2021 when he averaged 113. Probably seems quite a bit of a long shot, but he's definitely underpriced at 420k and has real potential as a stepping stone to a fallen premium, or he could even become a premium himself. Also, yeah, he's definitely a bargain M5 or M6. So nice mid-pricer there. It's probably all in Cam Guthrie, I have to say. But yeah. Next, we're going to talk about Connor Rozee, who's only 7% owned. So Connor Rozee, he's definitely flown largely under the radar due to the hype on Butters. The last 2 years, he went from averaging 93.3 to 107.6 last year. So it's hard to see him really falling off. He might have extra time in attack though in the forward line due to Ollie Wines being reintegrated into the midfield mix. So, yeah, Connor Rozee could be a really good pod option. It could even be a bargain at 600k potentially. Not in my side currently though. Next, we're going to talk about Caleb Windsor, who's 180k, so he's a rookie, and I'm going to tell you a bit about him. So he's 8% owned, 9% owned, I think. Number 7 draft pick last year. He's been raved about in reviews in pre-season as he presses for a round 1 debut. Windsor's ownership rose by almost 3% overnight after Christian Petrarca revealed he had been telling his mates to make sure the 18-year-old was in their Supercoach teams. So get around that. He's got forward mid eligibility. It's unlikely he stays a pod for long though. So I'm still considering him. I think I might pick him up though. Next we've got Jai Newcomb. So a lot of these are midfielders. He's 5% owned. So he posted 12 tons last year, including a crazy score of 174 in round 22. The good thing about Newcomb is his game is based on contested possessions, tackling and clearance work, which all score heavily in the Supercoach landscape. If he cleans up his ball use, a full premium breakout is on the cards for Newcomb. Am I picking him? No, but I can definitely see how it works. Next is a defender by the name of Dan Houston. So Dan Houston averaged 100 for the first time in his career last year, scoring 14 tons in 23 games. Each of his tons were 109 points or higher, so he's got a very large ceiling. In a 6-week period from rounds 14 to 20, including the bye, Houston went 146, 156, 85, 176, 120, and 122. So that's a crazy 5-round average. He's also got the best bye this year, which could make him a good pick. However, he is injury prone, which is why I won't be picking him. Next is another midfielder, Libba. So Libba's 650k. He's 3.6% owned, averaging 116 last season, ranked 7th of all the mids. If you disregard the match where he scored 20 points due to his concussion, Libba averaged 120.8 points with 13 scores of 120 or better from his remaining 20 matches. He's third in the AFL for contested possessions, which were 14.5, equal 9th for tackles, 6.7, and first for clearances at 8 a game. So that's really good. Can I see it working? I can see it working. Is age and injury proneness? I don't know how you'd say it, but is that the reason I'm not picking him? Yes. So next we're going to talk about a defender by the name of Connor Buderick. I still don't know which way it is, to be honest. Which is 3.2% owned. Buderick said in a recent interview, Damien Hardwick wants to use him in a similar role to the one which has been profitable for Jaden Short and Daniel Rioli in recent seasons, which by that measure could average 95 for all we know. He's just over 300k and had 24 effective kicks out of 29 in his 2 games last year after returning from an ACL injury. He's at an awkward price, but massive upside. So the reason I say 24 effective kicks out of 29 means he doesn't make many turnovers, and by foot, he's got really good he's got a really good kicking accuracy, all of that. So, and that scores very well in Supercoach. Next, Luke Ryan. So Luke Ryan is 3% owned. I didn't know this, but he was actually the number one defender for total points last year. He should have a monopoly on kickouts this year, with Hayden Young moving to midfield. He's durable, playing 45 games in the past 2 seasons, and averaged 7 intercept possessions a game. His scoring floor is also very high. His lowest score last year was 83, and with every kick out worth an average of 4 points. So that's kind of ridiculous. Luke Ryan could be a good play. I'm considering him now after reading this stuff, but yeah, very good pick. Next, I'm going to talk about another midfielder in Carl Amon. So I've only really talked about one forward in this video. If you'd like to see a part 2, tell me in the comments, and we can talk about more pods. So Carl Amon averaged 86.5 last year. He's 2.8% owned. Amon played 405 minutes in defence last year for Hawthorn and averaged 32 disposals, 730 metres gained, and 9.6 marks a game. That is crazy. The going to defense is definitely a positive role change for scoring, likely DPP after round 6, and potential to be a finishing D6 for less than 500k. Last month of 2023, he scored 3 tons in his last 4 games. That's ridiculous. So we could see a really good Carl Amon this year, and I'm excited. There's so many mid prices to choose. You can't choose all of them, but you got to pick them wisely, and I think Carl Amon might be one of the good ones to pick. Next is another midfielder. So this is the last pick for the video. It's Ollie Wines. So 2% owned. It's quite ridiculous. In fact, I actually think he's 1.6% owned, but they don't have the percentages in here. So last year, he had his worst Supercoach average since 2013, which could be a sign of decline, but I believe it is simply because of a role change. So, obviously played along the wing last year. He will be back in the midfield this year after a significant dip in his contested ball numbers last year from a career best 14.8 in 2021 to 9.1 in 2023. So that is quite ridiculous. They definitely need him in the midfield. If the inside midfield role comes to fruition, Wines is likely underpriced by about 20 points. So, yeah, Wines could be a good pickup as well. I probably don't like it as much as a Guthrie or even an Amon, but could be a good pick. Now, those are all the ones we're going to talk about today. If you want to see a part 2, tell me in the comments and I will make one. Let's get 20 likes on this video for another video tomorrow. And remember, smash that subscribe button because I'm loving posting content in the moment and it's very rewarding when people subscribe to me. It feels great. So, thank you for all the support lately. And yeah, hope you all have a good one. Cheers.